Singularity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Singularity One-on-One. Singularity One-on-One is a regular podcast feature of Singularity weblog, where you can go and listen to it or download it in full. As you may already know, my name is Nicola, aka Socrates, and as always, I am the man with the questions. Today, my guest on the show is Vivek Wadhwa. Vivek is one of those absolutely incredible people that I was very fortunate to meet this summer at Singularity University. And I am having the serious trouble here of describing exactly what he does and what institutions he is associated with, because the list is way too long and growing. So I would simply ask you, Vivek, to perhaps present yourself instead of me messing it up.
I'm a tech guy who happened to become an academic, and now I'm hanging around with brilliant scientists and thinkers at Singularity University. So I have affiliations right now with Stanford, with Duke, with Emory, and SU is where I'm spending the majority of my time.
That's fascinating. So I would go back to your relationship and what you do at Singularity University a little bit later. But before we jump into the meat of our conversation here, I like to start my interviews by digging deeper into my guest's background, because I believe that we should all live the message that we preach and kind of trace our own path to where we are today. That's why I want to start with the beginning, if I may, and that is to say, so first of all, you are on your website, you say that you're an entrepreneur, academic, researcher, and so on. If you are to put yourself in a single word here, how would you describe yourself?
My favorite one is entrepreneur, actually. If I had to pick one, I'd pick entrepreneur.
That's fantastic, because I want to grab that and ask you this then.
Right.
So when was it that you decided to become an entrepreneur, and how and why?
It happened by accident. I mean, I started my career as a computer programmer. I was just a lowly computer programmer writing code. And then eventually I joined First Boston, where we had a problem to solve. The problem was that this was now mid-1980, but 1986 actually. And the company wanted to move all of its systems over to a client-server platform. Except this is like 20 years before, not 20, about 10 years before client-server became the norm. And there were no tools to make it happen. There was no middleware. There were no development tools. There was no infrastructure to make it happen. So the company decided that they were going to bet everything on going to client-server. And I was in charge of architecture, so I got put in charge of making it happen. I ended up building some computer-aided software engineering tools, case tools, which did the impossible. It was like Star Wars in those days. You could code in very high-level specifications that would generate the entire system that ran on multiple tiers of computing. This was the first case technology out there, and it was really revolutionary for its time. It was so successful that IBM came to us in 1989. In 1990, we spun off a company to market our technology. So you had the investment bank, First Boston, providing the technology, and you had the technology company providing the money, which was a really weird situation. So I became an accidental entrepreneur. It just happened that my technology had so much potential that we wanted to spin it off, and I took over as executive vice president, number 2 in the company, and chief technology officer. The company did really well. We grew from 0 to 120 million in 5 years, conquered the world, in the financial services industry, and we were on the road to success when we went public.
That's a fascinating story. And so if you were a sort of an accidental entrepreneur, as you put it, is it fair to say that you are also an accidental technologist or singularitarian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you kidding? So later in my career, I had a heart attack, and that was my life-changing event. I had to decide whether I wanted to get back into technology or do something different. So I thought I'd take it easy and become an academic for a while. I thought that I'm dealing with a country club like Lawns. You go to Stanford or Duke, it's like a country club, right? So I thought I would take it easy and enjoy my life and take it, do all that. Except I started getting more and more embroiled in academic research. I started challenging all the myths and the authorities and all the experts, and I became very well known in academia. And I was pretty well set in academia. We, came to Berkeley, and I was doing my thing. And then Salim Ismail invited me to come and visit Singularity University. I had no idea what SU was. I mean, but I used to drive by Route 101 and see this big hangar over there, and it looked like a mysterious campus over there. So when he told me it was on the NASA campus, I said, sure. I decided to go there on a Friday morning while the GSP was going on, and I thought I'd go and hang out for a couple of hours, an hour or two basically, because that's as much time as I had. I had so many meetings the whole day. So I came there in the morning. You walk into the NASA and it's like going to Cheyenne Mountain, like on Star Trek. You see that you go to this fortress, as it seems, and you're in a different universe from Silicon Valley. You've seen it, right? I mean, right from Silicon Valley, you're going into this exotic science campus. So I went there. I went into Singularity University, and there was who was it? It was Dan Barry was talking about robotics and doing projections of the future, and then Daniel Kraft was giving his thing, and I just sort of sat there, and it completely blew my mind. I had thought that artificial intelligence was dead. I mean, I was one of those people who was so excited about it in the 1980s, and even until early 90s, I thought that there might be some hope in AI, but I thought AI was dead. And he was a scientist, an astronaut, talking about how AI is now powering all these robots and so on. And then medicine. I thought medicine was just the domain of the big pharma companies, and that there was no advances that were worthy of happening. That I had done research on the pharma industry, and I documented that the U.S. pharma industry is offshoring because it's become too difficult to do drugs. So I knew a lot about the pharma industry, and he was Daniel Kraft talking about all these advances in medicine, and it completely blew my mind. So by the time I was done, I ended up calling up all the meetings I had a whole bunch of meetings that day. I canceled every one of them. I don't normally do this to people, but I said, look, I'm sorry. I have a mind blowing emergency. I need to just cancel and I'll reschedule and make it up to you. So I canceled my whole thing. It was there the whole day. And I walked out in a complete daze. I mean, I had no idea that all these exponential technologies were happening. So that was almost a life changing event for me. And then later on, I think it was Neil Jacobstein invited me to mentor students during the summer, and then Peter Diamandis takes me out to lunch, and I mean it was a big honor to meet Peter Diamandis. This was like the second or third time I'd met him, and Peter Diamandis says, Vivek, I want to offer you the role of president of Singularity University. I said, oh my God, Peter, what are you talking about? I mean, I felt so humble. But the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I don't want to do operational things. This is why I haven't taken over any companies. That I needed to stay out of the stressful life. So I couldn't say no to Peter. So I worked out a deal by which I would do half time at Singularity and half time all my other things. So this is how I'm here.
So what is your current position proper at Singularity University?
I'm working with Rob Neal and the team basically on heading up academics, which means that all of the functions about what we teach, how we teach it, the curriculum, and so on. I'm dealing with all of that. Plus, I'm also helping take SU to the next level. SU is almost like it's almost as much a secret as is a NASA campus. I mean, it's a mystery. People have heard a little bit about it. They drive by it. They know there's this high-tech scientific university over there, but no one really knows what SU is all about. So I'm trying to change all that. I mean, I'm very good at marketing. I mean, I'm very good at positioning. I'm good at PR. These are things I've done in my career before. So I'm now trying to help SU get to the next level. So now, in terms of formalizing the responsibilities of the faculty, and we've got world-class people, just the most amazing faculty you can imagine. I mean, every day I go there, I sort of, I'm so grateful that I get to hang out with people like these. Just one after the other, all of our faculty are world-class people. So it's an honor to be associated with them. To be even on the same website as some of these people is a huge honor. So I go there really grateful to be part of this thing and to work with these people. So what I'm trying to do now is to help them now formalize and structure and take it to the next level so that SU can really make its mark and change the world.
Yeah, I feel very jealous about that myself personally because
I feel jealous also that I'm doing it.
I enjoyed myself so much when I was there.
Right.
But my wife has a circus company business here in Toronto, so it's not an option for us to go there and stay there.
Yeah, you've seen the magnificent people we have, just most amazing people. I can name
It's
faculty
unbelievable.
member after faculty member. I mean,
Yeah.
Mark Goodman. I mean, the guy is just genius. I mean, Andrew Hessel. I mean, Ralph. I mean, like I said, just go to the list of faculty on the website. You'll see just amazing person after amazing person. So it's hard not to feel small in front of them. And this weekend we were in Los Angeles at the Fox Studios special event that we held, and Craig Venter came in on his private jet. Dean came and spent 2 days over there. Windsurf was there, I think, for 2 days. I mean, Sebastian Thrun, all these great people that you read about, they come and they donate their time to us. They just sort of hang out and, they just want to be part of it and do all they can for the world. Great humans, but just to be in the same room as them is such a huge honor.
It's unbelievable indeed. And I have to admit, one of my sins is that this summer I created amazing friendships and incredible relationships which are ongoing across the globe right now.
So far I've talked about the faculty, I haven't talked about the students. I mean, the caliber of students we accept, the good news and the bad news is that the caliber of students is extremely high, so that the vast majority of people who apply to us can't get admitted because we only have 80 slots in summer.
Yeah, I was really lucky that I managed to squeak in.
How did you get in? I mean, what did you do? Bribe someone?
No, I was just literally very lucky. I was on the waiting list for 2.5, 3 months.
Right.
And I was told that I am in on full scholarship 36 hours before the end.
Wow.
Before the beginning, that is. Before the beginning of the program. And the only reason that happened was because somebody didn't show up, I suspect.
Right.
So in very real terms, I squeaked in by mere luck.
Right.
But going back, I one of the things that I didn't do as well as I could have done was my relationship with Mark Goodman, and I realize that now, and I should have done better in that sense. That's one of the things.
He's in San Francisco a lot. You can connect with him. Actually, you're in Toronto. I'm sure he's coming and speaking there as well. The guy's a genius. You should meet him. I mean, absolutely. Spend some time with him.
No, he was our team leader. But we did have some friction issues, and looking back at the whole experience, that's perhaps the only thing that I regret and that I didn't do as well as I should have done personally.
Well, send him an email, tell him to watch this interview, and I'm sure he'll come and give you a hug.
But let's go back to your position, and I want to ask you this specific question, which actually a person asked me recently, which was this: in terms of academics. So SU is this very cutting edge, very forward looking institution, and yet seemingly it is embracing this archaic model of bringing people in a physical proximity, in a physical building, and creating a university instead of something else. So on the one hand, it's saying we're so different.
You've got to realize that, because I've also looked into that, we have to be online, but the fact is that the magic happens when you put people together. So you have to bring people together into an archaic setting, and they have to brainstorm with each other to change the world. So the bottom line is that to do the type of things we're doing, you need to bring people together, because the magic happens when you brainstorm with others, when you learn from each other. And even the ups and the downs, the fact that you have friction with other people, you have some people with egos and so on. Those are important human interactions which help you, which force you to think smarter and which cause you to innovate.
Yeah, I am guilty as charged on all levels, at the ego level.
I don't see us ever getting to the point that, maybe 20 years from now we'll have virtual holodecks, which are just like getting together physically, but we're far from that.
Yeah, but
we'll probably achieve the singularity before we achieve those holodecks.
Exactly, but that was my answer almost verbatim, because my belief is that after the program is over, the biggest benefit and the most incredible thing is the network, is the people that you have met, is those personal and professional relationships that you managed to form. Because we lived and we slept with all those people for 10 weeks in the same building there, and we just spent 16, 18 hours per day with each other. And so that's such a bonding experience that after it's over, you feel really like a family. It's unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. So that's, you said you have to do that with that. And also being on the NASA campus, it sort of adds a mystique to it. It's sort of, it's unique. It's, outside Silicon Valley, you're not,
Everywhere else in Silicon Valley, you're crowded. It's different. Here, it's like being on a desert island, away from it all. Yet you're in the middle of Silicon Valley. That's the beauty about the location we're in.
Yeah, and that's transformational in its own sake. Absolutely. So, but let me ask you this: I've watched probably 8 or 10 hours of videos with you today before our interview, and I read a few of your articles. So, you have this reputation for being a bit of a contrarian, very,
No.
very provocative, and straight shooter. So, let me ask you this though: are you a singularitarian now?
I don't believe in singularity itself. I mean, I'm not. I respect Ray, but I'm not sure if we're going to have this man-machine convergence and so on. But frankly, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking that far. But what I do know for sure is that there are a lot of amazing technologies that are moving amazingly fast, and these technologies are converging. So you have medicine and computing converging, 3D printing and robotics, AI, nanomaterials, all the stuff we teach, all converging. This is happening now. It'll happen within this decade, and I firmly believe that this is the most innovative period in human history. That we will achieve more in this decade than we've achieved in centuries before this. So this is when a lot of great things are going to happen. So what happens 30 years from now, whether there's singularity or not, I don't know. I don't care. It's irrelevant. I don't expect to live forever. I don't want to live forever. I mean, I just want to help, solve the problems of mankind, eradicate hunger, poverty, make sure everyone has enough energy, so that they can do what they need to do. I want to do all the good I can for the world in the next 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, so that's precisely what I wanted to get out of this question. So I wanted to get out the angle that what got you in there in the first place was not so much the tech side as the impact side, as the side which is improve the life of 1 billion people positively within 10 years or so.
Yeah, Nicola,
right?
you got to realize that, I had a massive heart attack when I was 45, okay? When you have a near-death experience, it changes your entire outlook on life. I'm not making money now, okay? Even with Singularity, I've been there for so long, didn't bother about taking even a cent from them. Now, I'm going to change that in the future because I need to, but the point is that I've done all this for this university and all the other universities without taking anything back in return because I don't care about making money now. It's about giving back to the world. That I want to do all the good I can while I'm alive. I mean, I want to make an impact. I want to help solve the problem so that our children, basically, humanity is looked after, that we've done as much good for the world as we can. And again, after hanging out at SU, this is why I'm spending virtually all my time at SU now. I mean, I'm not there 20 hours a week, as I promised Peter. I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. Whenever I can, as much as I can work, I'm working with Singularity because I believe that, we have the ability right now to solve humanity's grand challenges, that we can fix all these problems for the billions of people out there. And that anyone can do it. I mean, the fact that you and I can both impact humanity right now, it's a very unique opportunity in time and space when we can do this thing. This is what motivates me. It's all about giving back. And you talk about me being a contrarian and taking positions. I don't give a damn. I mean, I say something which is controversial, make a mistake, I'll apologize for it.
Yeah.
But I express my opinion. People don't like it, they don't have to listen to me.
Yeah,
I get harangued on Twitter by some idiots. In fact, I had one guy calling me an idiot last night. My attitude is, fuck you. Why don't you just unfollow me? Why do I care? So,
and as a blogger who hasn't been able to make money for the last 2 years, I can sympathize with the motivation of wanting to make an impact and a difference. And in terms of the input, I have somebody who on a regular basis sends me emails and tells me that I'm a traitor to humanity because of my transhumanist views and so on. So
I have anti-immigrant wackos setting up all these accounts on Twitter to harass me. All I do is block them and they just talk to themselves. I mean, I don't give a damn. I mean, I say what I believe. If you like it, listen to me. If you don't like it, go and listen to someone else.
Yeah.
Go and stay in your for these anti-immigrants. Let them be stuck in the past if they want to. I'm doing what I think is right, and I'm doing it for the good of other people. It's all about giving back. I get nothing from this. I'm not making any money even from my writing. I don't make any real money. I mean, get a token thing from the Washington Post, but that's it. And that's, hardly enough to buy dinner. So it doesn't matter. It's not about taking. It's all about giving.
Yeah, but I think you are making an impact because your voice is heard out there, and yes, it may be controversial, but there are people who are listening, and there are people who appreciate it and respect it very much, and I'm one of them
Uh,
actually, because
then it
I
makes
do
it
follow
worthwhile.
you. I do
Right.
follow you on Twitter and so
Right.
on. So let me ask you this then. You said you're not a singularitarian per se, but you're there for the impact, and you're very frank about how you feel and all your views, and I really appreciate that. So let me ask you, and you've been very vocal about the bubble in tech stocks, for example, such as Groupon and perhaps even Facebook, and I agree with you entirely on, especially on Groupon. I think that's
It's a scam. I mean,
yeah, I agree entirely. The
it's
business
investment
model
bank
is
investment
imaginary.
bankers inflating value so that they can get rich and their clients can get rich. It's all a scam. I mean, there's so many tech stocks right now that are ridiculously priced, and we know that they're going to drop. I mean, we know that they're going to come down to a tenth of the value within the next 2 or 3 years. Whether it's 6 months or 2 or 3 years, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So it's a losing proposition. That's not the way it should be. What it should be happening is that they should be priced moderately, deliver solid earnings, and then go up gradually, so that people who invest in it can make good money. So that it's the people that make money, and it's a management team that make money by making people successful. Right now, it's all about these greedy investment bankers making huge fees, by taking companies public, and then these venture capitalists and CEOs reaping in big fortunes by ripping off the public. They don't seem to realize that their millions are coming from the pockets of innocent human beings, from grandma and grandpa who had the stockbrokers calling them up, telling them how hot this Groupon thing is, how you're going to make double, triple your money within the next 6 months if you just buy it right now. And they're gullible. I mean, they don't know any better. They're not
Yeah.
analysts. They can't cut through this crap. When they have big name and investment banks calling them up, they know no differently. How can they know differently? And then what happens? All these people reap their fortunes. Everyone is fat and happy in New York and in Silicon Valley. And then grandma in Iowa basically has lost her life savings. No one seems to worry about the impact they're going to make on it. The fact that the riches that these people made came from the backs of innocent, people, innocent Americans who were just trying to, get a reasonable return on their savings. This is the life savings which people were talking about. So
Yeah.
there's no conscience over here, and it makes me angry like you won't believe.
Yeah, and perhaps I would come back to this topic, but I want to take a little bit of a different angle on it and say, what do you answer to people who say, okay, we agree with you, there's a bubble in tech stocks, but is there not a bubble in the singularity? Is that not like something which is way overblown, the exponentially growing technology, Ray Kurzweil becoming more and more popular, coming up on the Best Buy commercial, in the
So what? Who is he
halftime
harming?
of...
Who is he harming? I mean, what's he doing? He's motivating people to think bigger and to dream about what's possible. What happens is that, I mean, look at this. You're talking about science fiction. In the 60s and the 70s, I used to watch Star Wars. I used to watch Star Trek. I was fanatical about Star Trek. I'd watch every episode the moment it was aired, and then I would watch every science fiction movie there is. I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed about replicators and communicators and all of these holographic devices and all these wonderful things that would happen. And guess what? Nothing happened for 30 years. But I'm saying right now, my iPhone here is has more technology than Captain Kirk's communicator had in Star Trek. Captain Kirk's communicator, didn't surf the web. It didn't run apps. Okay, it didn't have GPS maps on it. It didn't do email. Okay, so what I have over here is more than what I dreamed about when I was a child. Yeah, it took 20 years longer than I had dreamed, but so what? The fact is that an entire generation of technologists got the vision, got the bug, dreamed like this. It motivated them to think bigger and work harder and to be smarter. It ended up doing good for the world. So let Ray Kurzweil, be a rock star and movie star, and let people not believe him, but at least he's inspiring them. He's telling them about one possible outcome, what one possible set of things which might happen, if not 30 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But the fact is, you're getting people to think. You're giving them dreams and imagination, which is all good. He's not profiting from it. I don't see Ray Kurzweil going around ripping off grandma and grandpa. At worst, someone spends $30 in buying his book and amuses themselves for a few hours reading a book. What's the downside in that?
Yeah, I agree entirely. And as someone who fancies themselves a bit of a philosopher, I would say that really the timeline is not so important. The major issues, whether they would arise in 20 or 30 or a couple of 100 years, are still going to be the same, and we're still going to face those problems that Ray is discussing. So why not consider them now and dream and debate and discuss, and perhaps that would also give us the capability to direct them in the most favorable direction for us,
Right.
and have that impact that you were talking about in the beginning. Let me ask you this then. Is there any myths with respect to the Singularity in general or Singularity University in particular that you would like to dispel? For example, one of the most common criticisms is that it is the rupture of the geeks, the church of robotics, the rupture of the nerds kind of idea where,
None of the above. I tell you, if it was, I wouldn't be there. I mean, I'm from the business world. I'm from the academic world. It really, even though the name is Singularity, even though Ray has been an inspiration, and Ray, is doing is getting people to think and imagine and so on. We don't teach that stuff at Singularity. It's not about. Basically, we teach about practical developments that are happening in several technologies, how they're converging, and the opportunities for entrepreneurs to solve humanity's grand challenges using these technologies. In fact, what I'm doing more than anything else right now at Singularity is bringing this whole focus of grand challenges into it. I want the theme, everything. When students come in there, I want them to start, discussing that here are the challenges of humanity. That we have energy problems here, we have poverty here, we have, lack of water here. I mean, all of these problems which are facing mankind. Americans don't understand this. And so they need more education than people who come here from foreign countries, from the third world in particular. So I want to start off by teaching people what the problems are, and then teaching them about these technologies, and then get them to think about how do you solve them. It's all practical, good stuff. I don't think anyone who came to Singularity would walk out thinking that this is science fiction or this is impractical stuff or there's anything evil or sinister happening here. None of the above. People walk out of Singularity, completely blown away, and they leave inspired to do good, to change, to help mankind, to help other people. So like I said, these critics should talk to any graduate from our programs. I don't know if there are a couple of wacko graduates that are the outliers or not, but so far everyone I've met has been a raving fan like you. Basically, they really believe in it, and like me, the fact that I'm now devoting my time to this institution is because I know the good it can do to teach all of these exponential technologies, which should be called Exponential Technologies University or something like that, or Exponential Technologies College. I mean, that's really a better description than Singularity.
That might help somewhat in PR terms, perhaps, yeah. But let me ask you this then. What's the next big thing then for Singularity University? Can you reveal anything that you have in the works?
No, we're basically trying to get to as many people as we can. Right now, I'm working on a major event, hopefully in Silicon Valley, which will bring together hundreds of world leaders and scientists and so on. So I'm working with Peter DeMatteis. I'm trying to take it to the next level, so we can reach all these major decision makers and really get the word to the most senior levels of decision making in the world, so that they're aware of these technologies. It's not about SU. It's about teaching great people about the advances in technology that can help them solve the grand challenges. That's what SU is about.
Fantastic, yeah, and I can vouch entirely for what you're saying based on my 10-week experience there, which I would redo again any day if I had the possibility to do it. And that's why I said I'm so jealous that you're there every day, and I'm here in the other end of the continent right now. But anyway, that's life. One way for me to relive the experience is to keep the conversation going, actually, by meeting and talking to people such as you. And this way I'm helping not only myself personally by staying sort of in touch and at the forefront of the ideas, but also helping my audience educate themselves and stay similarly in touch with both the people and the ideas that they express. So would you like to, I watched a video of you making a few predictions about 2012. I think it was on Bloomberg, perhaps.
Right.
Would you dare to make a few predictions, either in the shorter term or longer term, in general terms of technology that you're seeing on the horizon that are going to change the world and have that impact that we're seeking?
Well, my prediction is by the end of this decade, we're now going to have 3D printers becoming pervasive. That we'll be doing, mid-range manufacturing, not large-scale manufacturing. That'll be different, but we'll be doing a lot of manufacturing in our homes. So that just like we have laser printers at home, we'll have 3D printers for doing a lot of the stuff that we have. That'll be towards the later part of this decade. And early part of the decade, we'll be getting more and more. Early part of the next decade, we're getting more and more sophisticated. By the end of this decade, we'll also have the tricorders in common use, so that just like we have these iPhone, you basically touch the iPhone, and it'll scan your body and tell you, what disease you have, and it'll keep track of what you, because you keep it in your pocket, it keeps track of what you've done, what you've eaten. You basically have tricorder-like devices which are about the size of this, which diagnose health and which help you. Also, robotics and AI will converge even faster. It's only now that real robotics is becoming possible because computing power has become small enough so that you can have very sophisticated processors that do voice recognition, face recognition, that can now operate sophisticated motors and so on within small devices, so that robots will become a lot more practical, a lot more pervasive. They'll be doing household chores probably by the end of this decade, early in the next decade. It's almost certainly going to be, robots certainly going to be used more and more for manufacturing. That's a no-brainer. But I see them happening. We will have the Roombas, next generation Roombas in the home as well. Voice recognition within the next 5 years will come to the point that you're able to talk to Siri and she really understands you.
Yeah.
So that Google's business model will be in serious trouble because we won't need to do text links anymore. We'll just be talking. We'll be talking to our phones or our communicators just like I'm talking to you, and it'll transcribe and understand pretty well. We're almost there right now. Dragon Dictate is really an excellent product. We'll be able to do much more sophisticated voice recognition within the next 5 years or so. Okay, so like I said, then medicine. We by the end of the decade, we probably will be synthesizing personalized medicines, synthetic. When it comes to now, harnessing the genome, the fact that the genome has been digitized, and the fact that the costs are dropping dramatically. Within 5 years, it will be down to $100 or so, and we'll be mapping each other's genomes, comparing what diseases we have, and then hopefully coming up with better remedies for people, all within this decade. So these are amazing things which are happening in the short term. For this year, I talked about the fact that tablet computers will become pervasive. I have no doubt that will happen. By the end of the year, we will have sub $100 tablet devices, which now are available, in many countries of the world. By next year, you'll have, tens of millions of these. The year after, you'll have hundreds of millions of these tablet devices becoming available all over the world. Suddenly, the masses will have access to the same knowledge that we do. That you'll have poor people in India, China, Brazil, all over the world now having access to these tablet-like devices to the same knowledge that we have over here. So it's going to be an amazing decade. I'm very optimistic about all the good things that are going to happen.
Fantastic. And what about the risks, though? Is there something that really scares you or worries you?
Yeah, even more risks. You're going to have hackers hacking, DNA, genomes. You'll have already the cloud is a major issue. I talked about cloud burst. Yeah. That you're going to have major theft. Right now you have governments that are partying on all the information that they get. It's they're stealing all. It's just all you can steal buffet for evil governments, and I know who these governments are. Yeah. So there are a lot of downsides. There'll be a lot of risks. Privacy goes out the door because Google itself is now consolidating all this information about us. Google knows Google knows what my friends are saying to me even before I do. Google reads my emails before I do, right? So it knows what I'm thinking, what I'm up to. It knows where I am. So it's scary how much information Google has. The data that Google has would make Big Brother envious. So a lot happening. Good and bad. But I look at the good and I look at the optimistic side of it.
So you're still optimistic overall?
I'm optimistic, absolutely.
Okay, so I know you're very busy, and I will try to bring our interview here within the next 5 or 6 minutes. I have about 3 questions left.
Right.
The first one is, what about to those people who say something like this? Look, the biggest problems that our civilization is facing today are either social or political or environmental, which is to say, again, more political and social. And the solution you're proposing are technological. And therefore, by definition, you wouldn't be able to have a technological solution proper to a social or a political issue.
See, a lot of the battles that are being fought between countries and gets down to natural resources. For example, energy right now. The way China is having to go and buy everything up, it's competing with the United States in all of these things and so on. If energy becomes abundant, then that battle goes away. Okay, it's predicted that there'll be battles over water. If water becomes abundant, those battles go away as well. Now, this issue about social, that's what worries me the most. I mean, it's very likely that we create abundance and prosperity. The question is, will we distribute that? I don't know. Okay, I mean, I don't know if humanity will progress fast enough in the next decade or two to keep up with the advances that are happening in technology. And if anything, that's where the risk factors lie for this world. That if we don't learn to share and to help others, we're going to be we'll have civil wars all over the place. We'll have lots of instability and so on. So I'm hoping that we do rise above it. That these corrupt politicians, I mean, that they just get enough that they can stop stealing from the rest of us and now start focusing on doing their jobs and helping the people that they're supposed to be serving. So again, the social thing no one can control, but all we can do is work towards solving problems and creating abundance.
So in that sense of abundance, you're a little less optimistic than Peter Diamandis, I take it.
No, I mean, I'm optimistic in different ways. I'm optimistic also. I think we will get there. I think he's right.
I see. Okay. So the second last question that I always ask of my guests is very simple. Where can people go and find more information about you and your work?
My website, wadhwa.com, wadhwa.com. You can keep up with me there or on Twitter, at Wadhwa. I mean, I'm always on Twitter.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I know some of your tweets get very popular, so I recommend people follow you there.
Right.
And the very last question is this. Do you have a single message, perhaps the most important thing that you would like our viewers and listeners to take away from this interview with you today?
Yeah, the message is that they can change the world. You're not dependent on governments, on big business, or anyone else. You can take on anyone. You can solve any of the problems of humanity in your domains. In other words, take what you know, take your knowledge, and apply it to doing good for the world. That you can solve the problems of the world. That it's now possible for human beings, regular human beings, to do what only governments could do before. I'm echoing what Peter Diamandis keeps talking about. That we can make it happen. I really sincerely believe that.
That's a fantastic point to end our conversation on, Vivek. Thank you very much.
My friend. All the best.
Singularity.